2025 season officially starts today. The Optimistic Fan Club is back. Here is our final mock draft. Cleveland is going to have the ability to change their franchise's trajectory in this draft. Kevin Stefanski, when he was brought in 2020, did not have the opportunity to build out his vision. John Dorsey was calling the shots. That was short-lived, but it was ultimately his roster, and it was the aftermath of Hugh Jackson in that initial rebuild in Cleveland. He has a chance to take a high draft pick, and he has the chance with multiple picks to give his input to build more of a juggernaut, more of what he initially envisioned. So without further ado, let's get into this. So the Browns picking number 2 overall. Who do they go with? Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter? I've flipped back and forth on this so much. If you ask me January 11th on Patreon, my number 2 overall pick was Travis Hunter. Then a couple weeks later, it was Abdul Carter. Then just a few weeks ago, I was saying you can't pass up on Shedeur. I have flip-flopped. I have been front and back, but now I am settling down. Travis Hunter has to be the pick at number 2 overall because Cleveland can't afford to pass up on this kind of talent. A lot of fans feel that he's a master of none. That's something that we've heard thrown around. It's something that I even pondered in my Patreon video where I ran through, is Travis Hunter actually a good receiver? Ultimately, what I came to on that was like he would step in right away and be an amazing number 3 receiver, a very good number 2, but not a number 1 guy. I've come around on this a lot because I think his pure talent as a catcher of the ball in contested scenarios and what he does with the ball in his hands makes him very hard to stop. I don't know a lot of masters of none with these kinds of ball skills. Going up, fighting through someone's body, going up over 2 guys when the ball is up in the air. That is his ball. He is going to get it. The guy would probably be one of the greatest jackpot players of all time. And if people are going to keep repeating this, oh, he's a master of none, he's a master of none. I mean, if you're going to ignore the tape, then like at least look at the numbers. He had 96 catches. He had over 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns as a receiver. How does that not sound like a true wide receiver when you just look at it from that perspective? Those numbers in his draft year are better than Garrett Wilson's, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s, Brandon Ayuk's, Chris Olave, and Zay Flowers. All of those guys are absolutely first-round talent receivers. And Travis Hunter being a dual position player with way higher snap counts and realistically, a guy who should have way less energy eclipsed all those guys in terms of their statistics. He also did it on a team with a really bad O-line that limited what they could do through the air. And most importantly with all of this, it's that he is elite with the ball in his hands. And this is something that I said after the end of 2023 season. I said that Cleveland needs elite ball carriers regardless of position because Nick Chubb was injured. I said that Jerome Ford is not the feature back that people thought he was, and hopefully people are starting to understand me on that. Amari Cooper was not an elite ball carrier. He's a great receiver. He's not an elite ball carrier. David Njoku, realistically, was probably the best ball carrier, but he's more of just like a power runner. Elijah Moore is just good before the catch, doesn't really do much after the catch. And Cedric Tillman, you know, who knows with that guy? Every great team has a player who is world class when it comes to their on-field vision and game speed. The Browns have not had a player like this who can turn chicken shit into chicken salad. And that is the difference maker. When you can dump a ball off to a guy, when you can throw a guy a slant, when you can throw a guy a screen, when you can throw a guy on a broken play and he can flip the field or score a touchdown from you from anywhere, that is how you take your offense to the next level. And that's how you win games. And not to mention within all of this is that he's going to be a good defensive player too. Like we've positioned ourselves in that he's either one or the other. He's obviously and clearly stated he will not play if he's not getting to play both ways. I think that he's going to be a very good defensive back. This guy can bait quarterbacks and jump the ball. His close proximity speed to just turn it on and jump a route is absurd. Again, his ball skills, when the ball is in the air, he is going up to get it. He's going to be the best ball skilled defensive back in the NFL without a doubt day one when he steps on the field. That doesn't mean he's going to be the best corner, but I'm just saying when the ball is in the air, there is no one on any defense in the NFL who will have better ball skills than Travis Hunter. He also is not afraid to tackle and will come downhill and close fast on bigger bodied players. Draft Travis Hunter. That is my public service announcement on this piece. He will win games for you in a way that I don't necessarily think Abdul Carter will be able to. Travis Hunter is the pick at number 2. You have your new receiver to pair with Jerry Jeudy and a great piece on defense to cycle in with that group of guys. Now, number 33, the first pick of the second round. This is an extremely valuable pick right here. It's essentially a first round pick. Does Cleveland have to take a quarterback in this draft? It really depends on who you ask, but in my opinion, they do have to take a quarterback. Why? A lot of people say, wait till next year, see what you can do next year. Next year is not promised. I talked about this at length in our previous video. Carson Beck was the projected first overall pick by the Giants. Then he has the year he has. Now he's at Miami. His ex-girlfriend hates him. That dude's future is very different than it looked 18 months ago. You cannot count on being able to select one of the top quarterback prospects next year. If the Browns win 7 games, which I think is their floor this year with all of the pieces they're bringing back in Joe Flacco, and just reinvigorating the staff and team in general, 7 wins to me is the floor. But even if they won 6 games, they're probably not going to be in position to draft one of the top quarterbacks next year. A lot of people, a lot of teams are going to be holding off on making those picks this year because they're in the same position, but they are ready and willing to tank. Cleveland is not in that position. Joel Bitonio didn't come back to tank. Myles Garrett didn't re-sign so this team can suck again. They are going to be trying to win, and they're going to win enough games to not be in position to take one of the top quarterbacks. For that reason, this is your best drafting position, and this is where you take a chance on a guy. Number 33, if he drops, Jalen Milroe. Like I said, I had him going at number 33 overall back January 11th on Patreon. If you're a Patreon member, you know this to be true. And why? I just keep going back to this Georgia game. What he did on the ground, what he did through the air. He's a power runner with elite straight line speed. He has a great, really strong arm, and when he's on, extremely viable NFL level accuracy on those deep balls. And this is the thing. Yes, there is a probably greater chance than not that he doesn't work out and doesn't turn out to be the QB1 in Cleveland. That is what we have to realize with this. But there's still value in taking him because he can still help your team, even if he's not QB1. This year, he can immediately step in with some sort of red zone package, short yardage package, anything where you pair him with your running back, with your O-line in a heavy set, and you can run the read option. He can take the ball in like basically a wildcat, just direct snap and run QB power. He is that talented. He is that strong of a runner where you immediately have value in this player being on your field. He does not have to sit on the bench all year. He can still get playing time. And this isn't like a 2 QB system. We're not talking about that. We're talking about specific down and distance scenarios where you're bringing him in and you're saying, we are running the ball, but we also have the ability to pass here. Try and stop us. Try and stop this elite playmaker right now. And I mean, look no further than the Saints with Taysom Hill. I know Taysom Hill was undrafted, but would he have been undrafted if teams knew the value that he would ultimately bring down the line of just being a great football player? I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to have his hand in the dirt and be a tight end in scenarios, but lining him up, even as like a running back, as another running option, you could do all these sorts of things with him. So you still have value in this type of player being on your roster, even if he doesn't turn out to be the number 1 guy. However, there is the chance that if this hits, you have one of the most dynamic playmaking quarterbacks in the NFL. But what I'm trying to say is that if he does hit, if it does work out, even if he becomes a top 15 player, you have one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. And he's in a low pressure situation. He's not going to be forced to start. Joe Flacco is going to be the guy this year. It just makes sense to me. Okay, now number 67. What has been a glaring issue in Cleveland over the past few years, or really since Joe Thomas has retired? Left tackle. The Jed Wills experience, thank God it is over. DeJuan Jones has really had some bright moments. I thought that when they kicked him over from right tackle to left, once Jack Conklin was healthy again, I thought that he had some good moments. I thought he held his own. But he has consistently been injured through his first 2 seasons, 2 season-ending injuries, a knee issue and then a leg fracture, and then having to get another surgery to address an underlying knee issue once again. This leaves you unsure. And the Jermaine Effettis of the world, these guys who they've basically signed off practice rosters or off the street, are not viable options. They need someone to be a potential successor if health continues to be an issue for DeJuan Jones. So this is where I like Wyatt Milum, the left tackle for West Virginia. He's another guy who could definitely go earlier if there's a run on these tackles, because there's not a ton like in previous years. He has the size. He has a good amount of athleticism. His feet don't move the quickest in the world, but this guy held his own against Abdul Carter when West Virginia and Penn State played this year. Sometimes he gets a little dirty, grabs outside of the frame, but what great offensive lineman doesn't do that? When you get away with it, it's just a win. So I liked how he held himself, how he carried himself, and how he played against top-level talent like Abdul Carter. This guy is coming to play. He's holding his own, and he's doing whatever he has to do to win. I like Wyatt Milum here, left tackle, West Virginia. Build depth, have a backup plan in case DeJuan Jones goes down again this year. You're set, and you potentially have a starter for the next 5 to 10 years. So now at number 94, we're put in a position where if the running backs are coming off the board, you've got to take one at this point. It could be Cam Scatterbo. It could be the guy who we're going to talk about later. If it's Quinshaw Judkins and he's hanging around, maybe it's him. But I think that if it's not a run, if we don't start seeing those guys fly off the board, this is an area where you can get a back end anchor on your defense and finally give Grant Delpit a running mate who matches his intensity and aggression. Juan Thornhill, we know all we need to know about that guy. Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State, though, I think is more in tune and in line with Jim Schwartz's philosophy on defense. Kevin Winston Jr.'s biggest downfall and knocks against him is that he's overly aggressive. But I like that because you can't teach that aggressiveness. You can teach guys to dial it back, but you can't teach them to turn it on. I think he has that it factor in terms of wanting to come downhill and punish ball carriers. He's also coming downhill and looking to create turnovers, punching the ball, ripping it out, whatever he has to do to make an impact. He'll come down, play close to the line, and help in run support, taking on bigger lead blockers in the forms of H-backs, tight ends, guys slicing out, trying to capture the edge for the running backs. He can also blitz the quarterback, close fast. He's coming off of an ACL tear, but honestly, I think that if he had played the whole season, if he was in all these high-profile games in the college football playoff, his stock would be way higher. So I see a guy who's being undervalued right now and could come in immediately and be that back-end anchor, because Ronnie Hickman is a really solid player. I don't know if he's a full-time starter. And I think that when you have that uncertainty, you got to keep loading up your stock until somebody emerges as that guy. Grant Delpit is that guy. He needs his pal. I like Kevin Winston Jr. here. And now number 104. This is where things get fun. This is the guy who I've been talking about since October. If you watch the Optimistic Fan Club live shows, if you watch any of our videos, any Patreon stuff, you know that I love Devin Neal, the running back from Kansas. This guy is a do-it-all back. When I watched that Colorado game with him, just the patience, the vision, the burst, the ability to get skinny through small running lanes and then just lower the shoulder into guys and finish over top of them. That is something that is sorely lacking. And the Browns running back room really is my least favorite positional group on this team, easily. A lot of people don't like the receivers. It is the running back room. Jerome Ford is a good player. He's great in space. He's good out of the backfield. He is not a punishing running back. And again, not that he's Brandon Jacobs out there, but he will do whatever it takes to make the first guy miss and finish downhill. Also, too, he's great out of the backfield. he catches the ball very naturally. I think Nick Chubb, who I love, Nick Chubb is my favorite Cleveland Brown of all time. His ability out of the backfield is what has kept him out of the lexicon of the Christian McCaffreys of the world and of the Saquon Barkleys of the world. He's as good or better of a pure runner. He's not that guy when it comes out to catching the ball out of the backfield. And yes, he mossed that guy that one time. It's not consistent enough. Devin Neal catches the ball really well out of the backfield. And he, like I said, he makes that first guy miss. That is the thing that matters most as a ball carrier. Do you make the first guy miss? Do you do it consistently? He does this. And like I said, the vision, the coming into a system, a zone run scheme after playing in that system and seeing a guy who can execute on that level, it's just going to be plug and play, I think. And if he does fall down to 104, I think that this could wind up being the steal of the draft. If you don't believe me, go check out this Colorado game. It is the culmination of being a complete back, running the ball, the patience, the vision, and catching the ball out of the backfield. Now we're at number 179. So a lot of people hate the Browns wide receivers room. I think that drafting Travis Hunter, pairing him with Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, who I do really believe is going to take another step in his development this upcoming season, I think that you're in a decent place. I like the room more than most people do, but you still need elite ball carriers. That is just something you can never have too much of. And I think that that's where a guy like Tez Johnson comes in. No, he's not a true number one receiver. No, he is not the best in terms of his releases. I think if you try and press him, he's so small, you could just throw him out of the club anytime, but that's not what we're asking him to do. We're not asking Tez Johnson at pick 179 to step in and be the number one receiver. We already have that. We might have two number one receivers for all we know if Travis Hunter really turns out. But what you do need is that guy who you can throw to, who's kind of been forgot about, that number three, like what Khalil Shakir was a few years ago in Buffalo before he really took that step. Someone who is fast in space, who can get the ball and find the soft spot in a zone and make a team pay. That is where I like Tez Johnson. I also love him in the return game because Lord knows Cleveland has not had a good kick return, punt return game since Josh Cribbs, really. And again, a couple moments with Travis Benjamin, one moment with Donovan Peoples-Jones is not enough in 10, 15 years. And you might be thinking, oh, Tez Johnson at 179, this is Anthony Schwartz 2.0, picking a guy purely off of speed. Is completely different. Anthony Schwartz is a track guy. He is fast on a track. He did not have game speed or game vision. Tez Johnson has game speed and vision. It's why he's had the numbers that he had at Oregon versus what Anthony Schwartz did at Auburn. Is not the same. This is a guy who, yes, his physical limitations in terms of his size and strength will hold him back, but what he can do with the ball in his hands is undeniable. He makes guys miss. He has quick acceleration. He is great in open space. That is valuable, and getting a guy here who you can equally scheme up in certain situations, like down in the red zone, being able to cut him across the formation, get a little rub, have some over-the-top speed, like if you need to take a shot. What they tried to do with Marquise Goodwin a couple years ago. This is a guy you bring in, he's young, helps you in the return game, is great in space, and who you can scheme up into certain scenarios. I think that it is an extreme value pick at 179 if he drops this far. Now, number 192. This team is going to be running a lot of two tight end sets now that Kevin Stefanski has the reins over this offense once again. I really like Blake Whiteheart. Like, I think for who he was, basically, I don't know if he was undrafted, but he was a guy who the Browns got off of waivers. Like, I think that he has a ton of potential upside to him. He is a bit smaller bodied though. And if the Browns are going to be running the ball a lot this year, which I think they will, and not that I think, I know they're going to be trying to run the ball a lot this year, they need a true inline, powerful, big, strong blocking tight end. I like Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame here. I love the Notre Dame stock in general. I think that it says something about you. It's like the kind of guy JOK is. I think that is what Notre Dame is. Super high character, selfless players who have the propensity to be great because they never stop working. Their focus is in the right area. Mitchell Evans, I really don't know if he is that guy. Maybe I'm just stereotyping in a positive way, but I think that this is a dude who is going to be not what David Njoku is. And we don't need him to be what David Njoku is. David Njoku is your actual passing threat tight end. You're going to run him more than 10 yards downfield. He's going to be a viable output option for your quarterback, and he's a big target. So I like Mitchell Evans here. I think that he puts you in a good position where you have that size that Harrison Bryant never provided. Like, they tried to double up with receiving tight ends when they brought in Harrison Bryant. I think bring in that big boy who can push the pile, who can be that check down guy, and who is reliable. So now pick number 200. We know that left tackle was a big area that needed to be addressed. We've done that with Wyatt Milum. Hopefully he never even has to play. DeJuan Jones can be the guy. However, we had this big focus on left tackle because there were injuries there last year. But what happened to the 2 seasons prior to that? Jack Conklin was injured. He was injured frequently, and that hurt Cleveland. That's ultimately what opened the door for DeJuan. But now with DeJuan over on the left side, they need depth on the right side. I think that this is where you go and you get a guy like Ajani Cornelius. And I'm not trying to jinx Jack Conklin. He's got years left on his deal. I hope that he's turned the corner with his injuries, but you need to be prepared for the worst. And like I said, with the whole Jermaine Ifedi bringing guys in off the street, you need people who you can have in your system long-term. So if these issues keep persisting, you have guys who are bought in, who are in your system, and who are looking to improve. If it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. It's the 200th pick in the draft. And you're not even going to really know if it hits until there's an injury, potentially, knock on wood. At this level, there's going to be a lot of glaring weaknesses. I think that he drops his head a lot. He drops his head. That puts him in position where he's like liable to get swam. Tyleik Williams did it multiple times to him when Ohio State and Oregon played. Like, he just drops his head and winds up on his chest on the ground because he's not looking at what he's trying to hit. I think these are things that you can absolutely fix, because when you see him put together a good rep, like against Jack Sawyer, where he gets a good kick slide and punches his hands inside the frame of the man he's blocking, that's a guy who's in control right there. And I think that a lot of these things can be fixed and refined, but he has the size, he has the compete level, and he's going to go out there and immediately give you depth at that position to learn behind a former All-Pro. And remember, picks this late in the draft, they're not about hitting. It's about taking swings on potential and adding depth. He checks off both of those boxes, so I really like the pick there. And now number 216, going right back into that area of potential and depth, Cody Simon, linebacker from Ohio State. So bringing in a guy like this who likes to get his nose dirty, I think is a no-lose situation. And it also, if JOK isn't quite right, not that he's going to step in and be JOK, but he's just going to add to the options where you can cycle guys through, because that's what the Browns do when they don't have a key guy. Like Jordan Hicks and JOK are the only linebackers who are always playing. They're cycling through Diabate, Winston Reed, Devin Bush. They move those guys around a lot. I think Cody Simon could easily be one of those rotational backs. And what I really liked about him at Ohio State is, like, this guy was leading this defense. He's constantly communicating, getting his guys in place, and then coming downhill and making plays. He's got a little bit of that tweener body type, but I think that there's value in that, especially in the modern NFL. So Cody Simon, I like the pick there. It's a potential, it's a swing, it's a character and leadership style pick, but I think it's a good one. And then for the final pick of the Browns for this draft, number 255, I got them taking defensive tackle Tonka Hemmingway from South Carolina. Is he going to be available here? I feel like this is a guy who, honestly, like, his tape is really solid for how he's being projected. So maybe he winds up going a lot earlier. If he was available at this spot, I think that it's a no-lose situation. It's the similar thought process as the Browns taking Jawan Briggs last year, who wound up near the end of the year really doing well and, like, getting some playing time considering where he was selected. I think Tonka Hemmingway, better athlete. I think that he's got good explosion. He can penetrate through the line of scrimmage and clog up holes. He does the dirty things that you need when you're getting double teamed as a nose tackle type defensive lineman. Yes, he's a little bit undersized, but he makes plays and he gets after the quarterback too for a bigger guy. So that is it right there. That is my Browns draft. I'd love to hear who you guys got, but this is just what I would do. It's not what I think they're going to do. This is what I would do. I think they are definitely going to take Travis Hunter, but that 33rd overall pick is the big question mark of, do they go quarterback or do they go best player available? I think it's either Jalen Milroe. If it's Amari and Hampton, they go there, but I could also see Travion Henderson. And guys, we are doing our first live show of the year, probably around 9 o'clock Sunday night. Once the draft is complete, we're going to go through every pick, give my take, my review, all that stuff. And then following that on Patreon, we're going to do a film breakdown of all of those guys. So make sure you join the Patreon, support the page. You can join as a free member, check some stuff out on a free trial. But then if you join as a paid member, you get your name at the end of all of these videos. You are our producers. You're the lifeblood of this channel. I appreciate you guys so much. Finally, if you guys want to support not the page, but just some side things in general, you can buy one of these tees. These are all designed by your boy right here. Get them at pumpkinhead.shop. I'll link it below, but this is our varsity football tee. And we have a second one here. So if you guys want to support that little side effort project, be fun, rock it, get ready for the summer. But appreciate you guys. Let me know who you like. Give me your mock draft in the comments. And we will see you guys on Sunday night for our recap and our first live show later.